You're listening to the Dirty Air Podcast.
Hey, let me hear some Skinner, brother.
It's in the face, Dillner. In the face.
I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't know how to party.
And now, here are your hosts, Chuck Busch, Jonathan Merryman, and Matthew Dillner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural Dirty Air Podcast, a brave new world for NASCAR.com. We are trying our hand at a little podcast. We're dropping the green flag on this. I'm Chuck Busch. I'm joined today by Jonathan Merryman and Matthew Dillner, and we're here to just sort of have fun and talk about NASCAR, talk about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Pick on Chuck.
All things that are good.
That's right.
Yeah.
America.
So, how you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic. Just got back from Daytona, where we did not sleep.
We didn't sleep?
We had an opportunity to sleep for 45 minutes after that race. It ended so late or early in the morning. So we made the decision, instead of sleeping for 45 minutes, to go get a Waffle House.
That is a wise
That's
decision.
a wonderful decision.
I mean, Waffle
great.
House is great.
Yes.
I love the Waffle House.
I was proud.
They should sponsor us.
I mean, that was a long day for y'all, though.
Yeah, it was like 2 days almost, but
Yeah.
it was everybody was in the same boat. And here's the deal. NASCAR did a good job getting the show underway. The fans stuck around, which I was shocked with how many people are in the grandstands. It was unbelievable. And we got a darn good race in.
We got a lot to talk about because of it, too.
We do. And I'm going to be honest with you.
Not much happened, though.
Not much happened.
No.
You know, it was a great 4th of July weekend. I was actually off for the first time since probably 2008, which was great.
So you missed the 14,000-hour day at Daytona.
I did. I
haven't taken
missed
a
it.
4th of July off since 1776, Chuck.
I'm a racer.
Well,
I don't
see,
take
I didn't
4th of
take
July
it off. I didn't take it off. I was celebrating freedom. There's a big difference.
Fair enough.
I was not working. I was being an American.
I've only had one 4th of July off, and I spent it in a cow pasture with my friend Stephen Bullard in an old truck rolling around a cow pasture.
I don't want to know where this
listening,
goes.
listening, hold on.
Just taking a turn for the absurd.
Listening to Barney Hall and the boys of MRN call the race, the Daytona race, and that was the year that Jamie McMurray won in the Roush number 26.
Roush number 26.
And I heard it in a cow pasture.
What did the cows think?
They didn't care.
Were they going, Emran?
MRN.
Yeah. No, but anyway, so back to the actual race. You know, like I said, it was a late night. I made it to maybe the competition caution before I fell asleep the first time.
Ow.
Hey, I was trying, man. It was a long weekend for me. But there's something that happened at the end. Yeah, and it's been all over NASCAR.com. It's been all over the internet. It's just been a big thing. And that's that finish and that wreck with Austin
Thankfully,
Dillon.
everyone's all right.
Exactly.
That's the main thing.
So
It was, you know, you go back and you look at that, and it was quite possibly one of the freakiest wrecks I think I've ever seen. And this angle right here,
Spectacular.
shot by
if
Matt
you're
Dillner.
watching this podcast on NASCAR.com, if you're listening to the audio on iTunes, I recommend you go watch on YouTube or NASCAR.com and check out this footage. This is Matthew Dillner's footage of the wreck.
And just seeing them run out there right now, the wreck was spectacular. And the fact that Austin was okay, you see him giving the thumbs up right there if you're watching on the video. But what's not been talked about, in my opinion, of this whole thing was the sportsmanship, the brotherhood, the community that NASCAR is. I know NASCAR doesn't want pit crews running out on pit road, and the teams know that, and this was a very special thing. This thing probably will never happen again, but what we saw right there was old school, old guard, caring and community of those crew guys being concerned for the safety of Austin Dillon, and what they did right there was spectacular and deserves some respect. And it wasn't just the 88 team. The Geico team was out there. They were some of the first ones to arrive on the scene.
And you look at that, and you heard Dale Earnhardt Jr., the winner of the race, talk about it in the media center after the race. He said, you know, back in the day, everybody used to stay at different hotels and nobody really hung out. But now, because the sport's grown, they've kind of become a bigger community because they're staying at the track with each other. And these are the folks that are hanging out with. And you hear it in his voice after the wreck, the concern that he had, not only for Austin, but for everybody. And it was just, it does show how big this family is.
Well, they never once talked about the win on the radio. It was all about, is the driver okay? Because he didn't know who it was. And are the fans okay?
And the good thing is, at least they both were okay. I mean, this was a horrifying wreck. if you looked at it and you didn't know the actual outcome. When we finally learned the outcome of this race, we could all breathe a little bit and look at it. And, I spoke with this PR representative with Daytona actually this morning about what Daytona is doing with this Daytona Rising project and some of the safety measures that have taken place at Daytona. Even now, and the project's not done, people haven't talked about the fact that those grandstands were actually moved further away from the fence.
Like 10, at least 10 feet back?
I mean,
further back than they already were.
They were.
And that rim road, you're not allowed on that anymore.
The rim road is basically that little area of pavement. They used to have to walk from getting a hot dog and walk down near the fence to walk up to their seats. Now these fans are actually coming down to their seats. That area is free and clear. So in a way, this Daytona Rising project and some of those safety advancements are the reason that more people weren't injured. And that is something that we need to pay attention to. Safety advancements, not only with the race cars that kept Austin Dillon safe, but the fans. There were a few minor injuries, but it could have been so much worse if we didn't make the safety advances that we had already made.
Well, and that's one of those things. If you go to a track and you're right there up against the fence, any track, there's stuff that's coming off of the car. It's rubber. There's just, bits of stuff that's just flying. So having that gap, and I saw it when I was at Rockingham a couple of years ago when the trucks ran there. The first 5 rows, nobody sat in them.
Yeah,
because it's too close.
Exactly, and that's what these tracks are doing. They're trying to get the fans, especially at super speedways. This is where we need to focus on this, is super speedways. This is the only place where we're really seeing these spectacular wrecks where, back from Bobby Allison in the Miller High Life car, tearing down the fence at Talladega.
You could go back to Lee Petty at Daytona, back in the early days when, you're going out of the park. That's why we have a catch fence to begin with.
And the catch fence, yes, you saw that catch fence get torn away, and everybody was taking videos, and there was a few people doing periscopes and all sorts of things afterwards.
Well, it did what it was supposed to do.
It did what it's supposed to do, and the reason why, look closely, and if you look at all those cables, those thick cables, Merryman and Busch, all of those were intact.
Yeah.
That kept the car in. Who cares about the little fencing that got torn away? That kept a lot of the big debris back inside the track, but the main thing is the cable structure worked, keeping the fans away as much as they brought them away definitely worked. We could always improve, but we have to focus on the fact that was a huge improvement, and it could have been a lot worse for a freak accident.
And seeing it on TV, NBC had great footage of it, but me and Dillner and 2 other producers were
Nick Duncan and Costner Merrifield
in the 3 pit next to the pit stall, and seeing it now on video, it looks like it happens like that. In real time, everything slowed down. Everything went quiet. It seemed like that car was in the air for a while, but, that's just the shock of seeing it from the inside. And then when Brad came in and slid in, it looked like at the time the 3 guys were a little irritated with that. But if you go back and watch the video, Brad crosses the stripe, locks it down, and slides. There's nothing he could do about it, but it's kind of the juxtaposition of being there and then watching it back on TV. Everything just slowed down for that 10 to 15 seconds. It was incredible.
Well, that's what I want to know. Dillner, you obviously got that really good shot of, and that's just normal into the race. You're there, you're following the leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr. come down to take the checkers. Normally, you're going to take that shot, follow Dale, then come back and try and get the checkered flag. What's going through your mind as a cameraman and as a spectator and as a fan as you're sitting there watching all of this unfold?
I don't mean this in a cocky way, but it's instinctual, whether you're a cameraman or not. I've been in racing since I've been in my mom's womb. So, you know when something's going to happen, and everybody feels it, that it's going to happen at Talladega, at Daytona, especially those closing laps. You look at all those cars going 3-4 wide, jostling for position. But when Denny went into the grass there, you just lock down, you hunker down.
It was almost automatic.
And it's almost automatic. Yeah, you don't follow Dale Earnhardt Jr. as a cameraman there. You just, sorry about that. I just hit your eagle.
You didn't break
poor
it,
little
you're good.
eagle. But he's
resilient.
But he's resilient. Bald eagles always are. So, yeah.
Not on the endangered species list anymore.
Not on, yeah.
They're fine.
Wow, that got derailed quickly.
Tough?
Like we were on some
Bald
deep
Eagles
stuff.
and Austin Dillon, because Austin Dillon climbed out of that car like nothing happened, and then he did the lane frost.
Yeah.
Which was the coolest thing I've seen all week.
It's more in the wrist.
It's more in the wrist.
It's more in the
It's
wrist.
more in the wrist.
You're
better at the wrist.
You're doing this. It's more
because I like to
this.
talk.
Yeah.
It seemed like forever until they gave the thumbs up, though.
Yes, it was.
It was my first time to Daytona, so I was probably a little bit more shell shocked.
Way to come to a dramatic Daytona.
That's a big one.
Story for the grandkids.
You got Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning
on 4th of July.
On the 4th of July weekend, which is
Yeehaw.
just America right there. That screams everything about America. And then you have
the ultimate fireworks.
Right. And one of the most spectacular, horrific wrecks in this sport that everyone walked away from majoritarily unscathed.
I look at that, and I look at the only wreck that I remember seeing at Daytona or at a speedway that was more spectacular was Jeff Bodine in the trucks. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning, getting to put that second win sticker on the car. What a spectacular moment for him. He was very, very subdued in victory lane and concerned still about the fans, about what happened, and obviously a little shaken from it, but getting to celebrate that second win of the year with his team. And at Daytona, anytime he wins at Daytona, he loves that place. He's said it before. He absolutely has a passion for Daytona, and it was great to see him win. And obviously, anytime Dale Jr. wins, the fans go crazy.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, even with everything that happened, there was a race that happened. I mean, you guys talked about it.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, there was a race with chase implications that were going on. I mean, you had guys...
We're driving back, our producer and I, and we had to cover those stories out there like we all do when we're out there. And we're driving back, and we're like, wait a minute. I mean, I got to be honest, that's the first time I've ever left a race, and I really don't have the top 10 even embedded in my head because that just wasn't the story.
Right. Well, and, you look early in the race. There's wrecks early. I remember seeing the tweets go out, big one strikes early. Never say the big one strikes early at Daytona or Talladega because the bigger one is going to come back. But you had guys like Kyle Busch, he wrecks early. Then you have Carl Edwards wrecking. You have guys that want some that have wins, some that don't. It's that time of year. We're halfway through the season. Guys are starting to make these moves, and it's a track like this that can throw that curveball. What'd you guys see coming out of Daytona?
Well, there's 6 drivers right now that don't have wins, that are locked into the chase if it ended today. Clint Boyer raced his way up into that fray right there. Kyle Larson, Eric Amarola, who won at Daytona last year, are kind of on that bubble right now. So what we're seeing right now is a bunch of guys on the bubble, not sure if they're going to get that win, so they have to race as hard as they can to get those points to make sure they make it in the chase. So it's a little bit different of a situation as it was last year as far as the way these guys are going to make it into the chase possibly. We don't know if we're going to see, 16 different winners or 14 different winners or what be it.
Well, and if we look at Kyle Busch, he finished 17th, I believe.
Yeah.
17th on the day. 17th on the day. After wrecking earlier, he scrapes the wall, spent a lot of time on pit road. We've said this to each other before at the track and just in conversation. He's got to finish in at least that top 15, top 16 for the rest of the season. Does this race, Jonathan, hurt his chances or help his chances going forward?
He gained points at Daytona, a huge wild card race. After he hit the wall, it's a positive. Right now, they're at a spot where they can kind of control their own destiny, so to speak, in getting in the top 30. But you never know what's going to happen at Daytona. No one behind Austin Dillon or anybody in that wreck at the end thought that was going to happen. So, anything can happen at that racetrack. Anything can happen at every racetrack, but more so at Daytona. I feel like they can kind of fine-tune what they're able to do and where they're able to finish from here on out, except maybe Bristol or the road course that's left.
Yeah, he basically pancaked the heck out of that car, that number 18 car. And to come in and you see the crew just doing a wonderful job with the bear bond and beating that car back out and not having to bring it behind the wall to do extensive repairs, only going a few laps down and then getting those lucky dogs to get back on the lead. That's a team effort. Kyle Busch didn't unravel. He didn't unravel. So all he has to do now is look at that performance and say, okay, we can do this right now. We only have maybe one more wild card in the rest of the chase, and that's Watkins Glen, a place that on the last lap with so many cars typically on the lead lap at Watkins Glen, on the last lap you can get wrecked and turn and be in the kitty litter or whatnot and end up 32nd. So he made it past one wild card with an average finish.
Which was fine.
Which is fine. He's going to a place like Kentucky that he's good at, a place that with this new rules package, a little less downforce, I think that rules package is going to play into the hands of Kyle Busch, who can control a loose car very well. And I think Kyle Busch is still in good position where he can make up that 128 points to try to catch Cole Witt.
He made up a lot of points with the Sonoma win. Imagine if he gets another one. It makes his life so much easier.
Oh, it can happen.
Well, and you look at that finish at Daytona. He's right there in the thick of it there. And like you said, we're heading to Kentucky, a place where historically Kyle Busch has done well. You know, how does, you know, with Kentucky, we've got a triple header weekend. So, you know, we've got a big event going on here in Kentucky. You know, Matt Strickert's out there. He's going to be doing garage cam since Dillner is here in Charlotte and getting ready to go to the mountains, I believe.
Little baby moon.
Little baby moon before the baby comes. He's going to go hang out with his wife with no internet connection.
So I can't watch garage cam. I can't tweet. I can't follow NASCAR all weekend. Well, that's why I think we're going to come back on Saturday because, I mean, I can't do it.
Well, and you've got the Camping World Truck Series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series all in action this weekend.
Huge ticket.
Weekend.
Kyle's running too.
Kyle's running. So
Xfinity Series.
He's running the Xfinity. Is that going to help him get ready for the Cup race?
Why not?
Hey, seat time, man. I mean, Kyle Busch is a darn racer. And historically, Kyle Busch is a better racer when he races a lot. And sometimes that means he's racing a late model somewhere. Sometimes that means he's running a triple header on a NASCAR weekend. You know, if he's sitting at home, he's not racing. He's a racer. He's a pure racer. He's not the type of guy like a lot of people that'll go off and play fantasy football and do all this other extraneous stuff. The dude is a pure racer.
I think KBM's going to have a big weekend. I think Eric Jones in the truck's going to be dirty.
Oh, he's always good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Eric Jones is just...
Now that they got that monkey off his back.
He had a monkey on his back?
He had a big old gorilla on his back. He did.
I never saw that one. At the track, he hides the monkey well.
He hides the monkey well. He gets a little
It's a
ticked off
trunk
after
monkey.
a race.
Because he's a smaller guy, so it's kind of like hard to...
It's only a truck monkey.
Only a truck monkey. Okay.
Or no,
It's, like
trunk.
like
Trunk
Choco
monkey.
Flacco.
He keeps it in the trunk of the car, not the truck monkey.
Not
Yeah.
like, because I mean, that monkey riding around in the car or the truck.
What's
would
that?
just
What's
be,
the Clint Eastwood movie where he rides around with the chimpanzee?
Any
Well,
which way but loose.
You know, was
Left
it
turn,
Tim
Clyde?
Flock or Fonny Flock? I think it was Tim Flock that drove around.
Jocko
with a monkey.
Flacco?
Jocko Flacco.
Yeah.
Actually drove around
With a monkey in the car.
in his car. The monkey had its own fire chute.
I mean, we want to talk about safety. I don't think
We've
having a
come-
monkey in a car is safe.
Hey,
We've
we
come a
sent
long
one
way.
to outer space too.
We did.
We've had monkeys racing in NASCAR. This is a colorful sport.
Yes, it is a very colorful sport. We got monkeys.
What happened?
And with Jocko Flacco, we're in the NASCAR Hall of Fame studios. Roughly, we can look out the window and see that. And today it's Wednesday
No
when
way.
we're recording this.
Yes.
If you're
Wolf
listening to
Shirt
it, it could be
Wednesday.
Thursday. Wolf Shirt Wednesday. So
Well,
today,
Shirt Wednesday is that Chuck without a shirt on?
No, that's not. That's Tony Stewart without a shirt on.
Hey,
Not touching it.
Don't.
No, don't touch me without a shirt on. But anyway, it's Wednesday today. If you're listening to this on Thursday, that's great. It's Thursday for you, or Saturday or Sunday or whenever. But at Kentucky Speedway, there's some practice and some testing going on. So we got this new rules package that they're rolling out here at Kentucky. What are you guys looking forward to with that?
Race cars sliding around all over the place.
He said it best. Bottom line, this is a rules package that I think the fans are going to enjoy. This is a rule package where, maybe 50, 60% of the drivers like it. And the ones that aren't running good are going to hate it. And the bottom line is they'll be slipping and sliding. That's what we want to see in NASCAR.
I want to see fender to fender, tire smoke, crossing the checkered flag, spinning out, people mad. Personally,
I like that.
Well, yesterday, when everybody was recording the preview show, which will be available on Thursday on
The FedEx
NASCAR.com,
preview show.
the FedEx preview show, and the NASCAR Xfinity preview show. That if you're an Xfinity customer, you can watch that on your Xfinity.
I like that people
yeah.
have been telling me they can watch
X1
Garage
box.
Cam
Yeah,
on the Xfinity deal.
The
on
X1
their
box.
TV, on
It's
the
pretty
X1
cool,
box.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So we had a chance, though. Jonathan Merryman asked Chris Rice a couple of questions about the package and who he thinks this might benefit. So let's take a listen to that right quick.
They're taking the rear spoilers from 6 inches to 3.5 inches, changing the radiator pan. They're making it smaller, and they're shortening up the splitter. The thing they want the guys to do is to be off the accelerator, off their gas pedal more. And when that happens, the racing normally gets better. They're trying to make the racing where you can run side by side. And what they're taking the cars from 2,500 pounds of downforce down to 1,700 pounds. And downforce creates speed in the corner. They're trying to take the speeds down in the center of the corner. I really like Tony Stewart and I like Jeff Gordon. I think it brings it back to their wheelhouse because they are more of a driver that had a lot of horsepower back in the day, and they were able to lift, and they were able to manhandle their race cars.
So you heard it there. Chris Rice talking about it here on NASCAR.com and on the Dirty Air podcast. Who do you guys think? He said it's going to benefit guys like Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon. Who do you think that this rules package at Kentucky is going to benefit?
Without giving away my pick for the win, Clint Boyer, Kyle Larson.
I think he picked
Dirt
Clint
track
Boyer
guys.
last week
Yeah,
at
he's picked Clint
Daytona.
Boyer a good
I think
bit.
he likes.
No, I didn't. I
Clint Boyer.
picked the 3 and the 10 last week.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Clint Boyer. I think that was your dark horse.
No, Danica
No.
was the dark horse.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for
that's
paying
right.
attention.
How did Danica do?
She didn't go in the fence.
No,
No.
she
But
didn't
she
do
did
well,
end
though.
up in the garage at one
Yeah,
point.
she did. But yeah,
That's the thing
I
about a
agree.
dark horse is, you never know how
you
it's
never
going to fit.
know.
Yeah.
But I will say, kind of like what he said here, I think it's going to lend well to people who can handle a loose race car very well. Tony Stewart is definitely up on the list, and we're looking at, you tend to look at drivers that haven't done well, of how this is going to benefit them going forward. And Tony Stewart is one of those, fresh off of 2 finishes that weren't exactly what he wanted. But Tony Stewart ran really well
Yeah,
at
they weren't
Sonoma.
bad.
He ran really well at Daytona. So things are trending upwards for that number 14 car and for Smoke. So I think this could be a decent weekend for him. Do I expect a win out of him? No. Jeff Gordon, definitely strong. Jimmy Johnson, definitely strong. We look at a guy that isn't doing very well. I mean, terrible this year. Greg Biffle. Look out for Greg Biffle. I think Greg Biffle is one of those drivers when I'm standing out there in the corners that can handle a loose race car. Roush right now is so far behind.
I was going to say, do you think
behind.
this is going to play into Roush's favor?
I'm not saying particular
Or
Roush
just
as a
Biffle's
general.
driving style?
Greg Biffle's driving style is a very loose racing driving style. And right now they need something, just something to hang on to, something to maybe turn their season around. If this doesn't do it, Greg Biffle, practically a waste of a season for that car. But this could be the saving grace for a driver like that.
I just feel like it's going to be a Toyota sweep, all 3 series, personally.
That's a bold pick. Toyota sweep?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll give you my 3 picks at the end of the show. I don't want to ruin it.
I'm
Keep people hanging on.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it really does, like Chris said, benefit Jeff Gordon.
Yep.
I mean, and also I have a feeling he has a track like this circled on his calendar.
He's never won at Kentucky. The only track he hasn't, Chuck.
And like, to me, if I'm going out, if I'm retiring, I'm going to say, all right, guys, I got this one little monkey hanging out in the car with me, and it's Kentucky.
Back to the monkeys.
Back to the monkeys. So I think that they've circled this, and they're going to put a lot of effort into it, and I think you might see a little Jeff Gordon action there.
Yeah,
Personally.
you might see a little Jeff Gordon action there.
A little bit of Jeff Gordon.
And then you went up a
He
few
might win.
octaves.
He might lose. There could be a little bit of a battle, and then everybody enjoys it.
If I'm listening, I just turn this thing off.
Welcome to the podcast, and see you later.
See you next time.
See ya.
Oh, well, you would turn it off because you're just not a classy individual, and high-pitched voices are clearly classy.
It's clearly.
Clearly. So, anyway, we digress again. But Kentucky, not the only track now where we're going to see changes in 2015. Last night, NASCAR executive vice. I can't speak.
You've got this.
Yes. NASCAR Executive Vice President Steve O'Donnell had a little teleconference and announced that there would be 4 other tracks where we would see changes to the rules package. So let's take a listen right quick to what Steve O'Donnell said about these upcoming tracks.
We've updated the rules packages for 4 of those upcoming races, specifically Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Michigan International Speedway, Darlington Raceway, and also Richmond International Raceway. If you look at the Indianapolis and Michigan packages, we'll be implementing a higher drag package, which will include a taller 9-inch spoiler and a 1-inch wicker bill. And that'll also include a 2-inch splitter, leading edge, and a 43-inch radiator pan. And the tires at both of these events will be the same. Then when we look at Darlington, the package will be very similar, actually the same as we have in Kentucky. A 3.5-inch spoiler and a 1/4-inch splitter leading edge and a 25-inch radiator pan. The difference from Kentucky to Darlington, I think we've all known the tire is not specifically built for Kentucky, but in Darlington we were able to take the teams to test, and Goodyear's built a specific higher grip tire for Darlington for that race in this package. And then the last one I touched on was Richmond, where we will use a new tire It'll be a no-zone tread, right side tire.
And that was NASCAR Vice President and Chief Racing Development Officer Steve O'Donnell talking about these new tracks. I mean, to me, I think that this is exciting. Like, I think that it shows that this is very progressive of NASCAR to take a look at it and, heard from the drivers, heard from the fans that maybe some of the package wasn't working as well as they'd hoped it would. So we're trying out some new things. What do you guys think about this?
Well, if you look at last year, Harvick won Darlington. I think he'll be okay with the new package. He runs good in anything. Keselowski won Kentucky and Richmond. Those are 2 tracks with the new rules changes. And Indy and Michigan, Jeff Gordon won both of those. So some guys that, could use some help there.
Yeah. I mean,
Keselowski's kind of fallen off here the last couple of weeks. Gordon could use a win. Harvick's fast in anything. But I think for Darlington, the teams probably shouldn't paint the right side of the race car because it's going to be rubbed off on the wall anyways.
That's just Darlington.
It's
I
gonna
mean,
be
I don't
awesome.
think there's any rule package you can put in there that would prevent the Darlington stripe from happening.
But with less downforce
Yup.
at Darlington, that's going to mean these guys are going to have to go slower in the turns, like Chris Rice said. Okay. And that means they're going to have to sail it up in there and they're going to really have to work the throttle to get through that turn and not hit that wall and get that famed Darlington stripe. What I like about this rules packages, because they're sort of race specific, they're sort of track specific. I know NASCAR doesn't want to go to a full package where every single track has different rules, but what I take out of it here is we know we can improve our product. So what are we doing to do that? Instead of making one bold change and seeing how it works at all these different racetracks, we're adjusting, we're trying, we're learning. I'm not in agreement with all the things we've done historically in this sport, okay? I'm a fan of this sport. And I haven't agreed with everything, but one thing that I take out of this is we are trying. And if NASCAR is trying, they're doing the best for the competitors and they're doing the best for the fans. And that's what nobody can complain about this. Nobody could say, oh, what's all these rules packages changing here and there and wow, wow. The fact that they're actually trying to put on an awesome show, we should respect that.
I think if you hear loose race cars, people are going to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Doesn't matter, where it's at. People will watch race cars slide around.
The fact that you've got Darlington and Richmond in there, 2 races right there before the chase.
Well, Richmond's huge.
Richmond's
it's the cutoff.
huge. Yeah, it's
And
the
there's a new
last chance
tire.
to make the race.
What
A
if
new
you're
tire for Richmond. So
Right, that's
huge,
what I'm saying. You have these 2 races right there before the chase. Does that throw for a team, when they're getting their cars ready, does that throw an extra added pressure or is that extra incentive?
for the ones that won? You can learn a lot. For the ones that don't have a win and are trying to race their win into the chase, you're sweating bullets that weekend. Because what if you miss? What if
That's
you get
your
off?
season.
What if you're sliding around? What if you tag the wall, ruin your race car? You're done.
We had a content meeting the other day, and Pat DiColo, writer for NASCAR.com, said that he thinks from here on out, the excitement of this season is only going to get better. That Daytona was just a harbinger of things to come, if you will.
Well, that's the whole basis of our schedule and our playoffs. So to say in NASCAR, the chase for the Sprint Cup is the fact that we've built this system that builds up and then runs into our playoffs, and the playoffs are all out.
Do we see 16 winners?
Do you see 16 fights?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see 16 winners this year, but I think there's still a few cars that can still win, still get a win, i.e. Jeff Gordon. We were talking about that, i.e. Kyle Larson. We were talking about that, in the office. I still think that's one of the biggest surprises so far this year, that Kyle Larson hasn't won a race based off of his rookie season. So a few things could go down here in the final few races heading up to the chase and be big storylines.
I agree.
You agree?
I think you'll see a couple more.
No
winners.
debate to that?
No, I'm in agreement with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like one big
that's
happy
nice.
family.
Yeah. I wish I had like a family hug button over here that I could
Aw.
just hit
Is there like an
something.
aw?
hit something.
But we haven't had a sound effect. Oh.
The sound effect is the eagle.
Eagles. No,
Well-
I agree with him. I think, more winners it's a good thing.
More winners are more gooder.
More winners, mo better.
Mo better.
So more gooder, more winners. With that in mind, who you got winning this weekend in Kentucky?
All right.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot right
I
now.
told you Toyota's going to sweep the weekend.
Okay. But who's it going to be? Which Toyota?
It's going to be
Clint Boyer?
Eric Jones in the truck. Kyle Busch in Xfinity, and Clint Boyer in Cup.
Shockingly, he picked Clint Boyer. I think he did that was it Sonoma that you picked Clint Boyer?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's because Chris Rice took Jeff Gordon.
Oh, okay. So Clint Boyer wins the Cup race in Kentucky.
Boyer.
Boyer
He's gonna be
in
chasing.
Kentucky. Anyway, Matthew Dillner, who you got?
Well, I would normally look at Brad Keselowski here, and I was still thinking about using him. Kyle Busch, I think, is going to be really strong, but I'm going to go out on a limb here, a guy that really hasn't won that much this year.
You on a limb was just
sarcasm.
shocking.
Jimmy Johnson.
Oh.
Because Jimmy Johnson is really, people don't give Jimmy Johnson credit for running a loose race car and his talent level as far as running a loose race car.
Who
There's
doesn't give him
people out there
credit?
that don't. There's haters out there all over that say Jimmy Johnson is all the car, all Hendrick Motorsports, all the big machine, all Chad Knaus. The guy is one of the great race car drivers in our era, and he can run on about any track. I think he's going to pick up with this new rules package and put it in victory lane.
I'm not convinced. 6 titles. No.
6 titles. No, he needs to beat Jimmy. Win 6 more, maybe.
Well, I'm just wondering who actually thinks that he can't run a loose race car, because I feel like that's been his bread and
mantra.
butter is when that car's just a little on the edge and he's sliding it around there. It's the dirt track stuff. It comes from his dirt running the super trucks?
Trucks.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Off-road trucks. His brother Jarrett Johnson and Jesse Johnson, they still run them.
If you out there in podcast land think that Jimmy Johnson can't wheel a race car, I'm sorry to say you're sorely mistaken. He could be boring. You think he's boring because he wins all the time, but he wins all the time.
He's just so everybody thinks.
I like
vanilla.
You know who else won all the time?
Vanilla ice cream's tasty. Who else?
Richard Petty,
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt,
Yeah. David Pearson.
Boom. These guys won. Was that boring, or was that the history of our sport? That is
people
like
just
a
don't
cool
like
history?
winners.
Well, we're
That's
Americans.
Why,
we should love winners.
That's why we love you.
Why? Because I'm not a winner. Hey, I'm a winner in my own heart.
You're a winner, Das.
Yes.
Some of us.
Yeah.
You're just
Maybe not
mad
this guy.
because we're keeping you from getting home to your wife right now.
No, you're fine.
Going home, hadn't seen his wife in 3 months.
3 weeks.
3 months.
3 months or
If I
3
hadn't seen
weeks.
my
It
wife
feels
in-
like 3 months for him.
If I hadn't seen my wife in 3 months,
He would have been
Probably.
a very depressed man.
it's in a search party.
Where's Merryman? I don't know.
He's cuddling with Bobby Allison.
That's right. My Eagles have kept me company.
Speaking of your Eagles, we've picked our winner. But now is the time on the show.
Oh,
now
boy.
is the time on the podcast when we dance. No. It's now
I'm not
time
dancing
for
anymore.
Jonathan Merriman's Eagle Fact of the Week. If it would play the audio, because I turned it down. But there it is. I'm still learning technology. Still learning it. So who you got? What's your Eagle Fact of the Week?
My Eagle Fact of the Week is bald eagles can fly at an altitude of 10,000 feet. It's up there. And speeds of 30 to 35 miles per hour.
That's it? They're just fast?
They're fast and fly high.
America.
Like freedom. They're
Jonathan
steady.
Merriman's Eagle Fact of the Week.
And another Eagle Fact, this was actually the cake topper on my groom's cake.
That was a cake
Are
topper?
we retiring it? Because I heard you broke a talon.
Yeah, I broke
Your
the
wife
talon.
might get ticked
When
off.
I went up to use the restroom, I actually found the talon I broke off in the stairwell, so I'm going to glue it back on, so we're all good.
So he was using the restroom, the eagle.
No, I was.
Oh, you were. Okay.
Wait.
But
How
just
did you
like
break
eagles,
off a talon in the stairwell?
When I was holding it,
Like,
let me show you.
how were you holding it?
I was
that
holding
walking down some stairs,
I was
you would have broken the
holding
talon.
it like this in my thumb. If you look at this thing, like you see one talon looks like it's going to grab you, and the other one looks like it's giving you a high five because I broke his thumb talon off. So it's like
Do the eagles have large talons?
large talons. Yeah, that one
I was
doesn't-
trying to grab the black flag back there because
Yeah.
there's flags because we need to send him to the garage right now.
Yeah, we need to get a little
But
bit
eagles
of repair
are
on
fast,
that.
just like race cars,
Eagles are
Eagles
fast.
are fast.
and
They are
they're
fast.
Americans, just like NASCAR.
Just like the 4th of July.
Boom.
Did you guys have, other than, the wreck and all that stuff, did you have a good 4th of
Yeah.
July?
It was my birthday.
It was your birthday.
Yeah,
Did
he's
you get a
born
new
on the
wolf
4th
shirt?
of July.
I didn't get a new wolf shirt. I didn't have time. I thought about like getting the crew together down there and going to the Walmart.
Oh, to the Walmart.
And
yeah.
because they got a good selection of wolf shirts, let me tell you. If you're looking for
The
a wolf
Daytona
shirt,
Walmart
You
or
can
just
go to Walmart.
Walmart
no,
in
Walmart's
general?
in general.
Oh, I didn't
are
think
full
about
of
it being
wolves and
Daytona
owls and
Walmart.
eagles.
You could go down to like the beach and a storefront down there, and I'm sure there's some great.
do you want me to tell you?
Yeah,
the,
they do
like,
have fish at that
my
Walmart,
version
too.
of the ultimate wolf shirt.
Yes.
Oh, boy, here
All
we go.
yes.
So you got Big E flexing, okay? You got a bald eagle screaming like just mad on his shoulder, okay? Like holding on to his arm. And then you have this rabid-looking wolf just angry.
What is going on?
I don't know. But, you know.
And lightning. You have lightning strikes behind him. And
But the bottom line is Daytona was awesome.
And
Okay,
an F-16.
Daytona was awesome,
He just
and we
keeps
went
going.
to the Brickyard and had
A burger?
drip down your arm cheeseburger, and we had seafood, and we had NASCAR racing, we had brotherhood on the track and off the track.
Fireworks.
Costner was there. You had brotherhood?
Yes, we did. Camaraderie and fellowship.
Okay. Costner Merrifield is a lady.
Hey, you know what? She is a lady, but she says
She's
her
cool.
quote, "I'm one of the guys."
Okay. All right. I can accept that. I can accept that. Anyway, I feel like we've wasted another 30-minute time frame. It's probably even close to 35 minutes now of your time. But thank you for listening. We're
Are
going
you
to try.
drinking wine again?
No, we're not. We did that in Sonoma with Landon Castle. If you haven't
It
seen
sounds
that,
like it.
Can we
Go-
get fans to tweet me pictures of their wolf shirts at
Yes.
J Merriman Sports?
at J Merriman Sports, tweet your pictures, or at Matthew Dillner on the Twitter, tweet pictures of drinking wine there, or me at Not Rutledge Wood. No, at the Chuck Busch on Twitter. We should make a fake Twitter account that's Not Rutledge Wood.
Not Rutledge Wood. That
I
would be
think
good.
you're Rutledge Wood.
You look like a.
I mean, look at me. I have a beard, I have glasses, and I'm wearing plaid. How do I not look like Rutledge
If
Wood?
Fozzie Bear and Rutledge Wood had a baby, it would be Chuck Busch.
Waka waka waka.
Who would be your parents? Who would be Dillner's parents?
Who would, that's tough. I mean,
Yeah.
look at what I'm working with here. This is not good looking.
I think
Like,
it would be a Penn
got-
Gillette.
You got the Colonel Sanders goatee
No,
going.
it's Penn Gillette, from Penn and Teller.
And a big old cookie.
Penn Gillette and PETA
Are
from
you
Family
going with
Guy.
the Penn Gillette thing again?
Penn Gillette and PETA from Family Guy.
Hold on.
That's Dillner's parents right
If I
there.
slick back the hair, that's
Now
the
you
only
just look
thing-
like a weird
That's the only
hipster.
thing where people say
Pick a card.
Penn Gillette.
Pick a card, any card.
Any card.
We've derailed again. So anyway, tweet us. Let us know what you think of the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment on YouTube. Let us know what you think. Dillner, you got something?
One last thing that I wanted to say, okay, is the fact that Buddy Baker coming out with news yesterday that he has lung cancer. We've lost Steve Burns this year, a great man. Buddy Baker right now in the fight of his life, and I got to work with him back in the ASA days and then spend so much time with him in NASCAR, and one of the best people that I've ever been around and one of the best storytellers I've ever been around.
Charlotte,
And the
North Carolina's own.
Exactly, and the class that he showed yesterday, the other day in his announcement on Sirius XM NASCAR radio, and how he told everybody it. What a class act, and you can't help but love a man like Buddy Baker and respect him for not only what he has done on the track, but how he's going through what he's going through right now. So big shout out to Buddy Baker. We love you. Big prayers to you. And to the big guy. The dude's got giant hands and a giant heart, and we love him.
Wish him well.
We do. Can't argue with that. He's a Charlotte, North Carolina native. I've got a special place in my heart for anything of Charlotte. And, thinking about you, buddy. And that'll do it for us this week on the Dirty Air podcast. So check it out in iTunes. Check it out on NASCAR.com or on YouTube. Tweet us at J Merriman Sports, at Matthew Dillner, at the Chuck Busch. Leave comments on whatever form of social media that you want to follow us on. Let us know what you think. Let us know how we could improve it. We're going to have some fun. So until next time, you guys hop out there in the clean air, chase down the leader, and we'll see you next time back in the pack in the dirty air.